Where can we profit later in drafts when it comes to outfielders? I have the answer to that and more on today's action packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And you know what? If you leave us that 5-star rating and review on Apple, you might as well take a screenshot of it and join us over on the Subtext platform, where you can send us over that screenshot and you'll have a chance to join our coveted listener league for this upcoming season. We've already given away 2 spots. We have 4 more spots we're giving away on March 6th. Then we have the final 4 spots that we're giving away on March 20th. So make sure you get your entries in before those dates. And guys, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, you hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel and also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And guys, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, guys, we're back. We're doing our final outfielder preview, target and avoid type episode here. I'm riding Dolo today, so it's just going to be you and myself. Let's just dive right back into it, right? We left off, according to Fantasy Pros ADP, at the 33rd outfielder. So we're picking back up here at the 34th outfielder, according to Fantasy Pros ADP. And we're talking about Ian Happ. I'm not a huge Ian Happ guy. Had a mediocre season last year. Wasn't really blowing anybody away. Ian Happ's been around a while, 29 years old, turns 30 in August, has been with the Cubs for his whole career. And we kind of know who he is at this point, right? 158 games for Ian Happ last year, 580 at bats, 86 runs, 35 doubles, 4 triples, 21 homers, 84 RBIs, 14 steals. The plate discipline was actually pretty good. So in those points leagues, you probably give Ian Happ actually a little bit of a boost with 99 walks, 253 strikeouts, 248 batting average. He did hit Ian Happ hit 271 in 2022 last year when he was an all-star, but that looks like an outlier year to me. He's a career 249 hitter in 836 games and 2,700 at bats. So like I said, we know who Ian Happ is. Has a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, but I'm not really paying up for the 34th outfielder for Ian Happ. That's what really fantasy baseball is about at the end of the day, right? We need to make a profit off where we're drafting these guys. And when there's outfielders that I think are better, going after Ian Happ kind of makes me want to target him a little bit less. I know that Cubs lineup is pretty good, especially with Bellinger coming back. I want to see where Ian Happ is going to hit, though. I'm going to check out some quick projections from Roster Resource. They have Ian Happ actually hitting third. So you know what? The runs and the RBIs might still be good here, but that hidden batting average is really bothering me at somebody that we have to take at, pick 34. Let's just start rolling through some of these other guys, because I don't want to start bringing up names of guys I like better. That's what this episode is about. And literally the next guy is somebody that I like a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit about Jackson Chourio. I'm not going to deep dive too much on Jackson Chourio. If you want to deep dive on Jackson Chourio, Matt and I broke him down in our last episode, which is our, must draft top 10 prospects for this upcoming fantasy baseball season. But Jackson Chourio is a 5-tool guy, outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he's not big, but just has so much pop. I really think 5'11", almost 200 pounds, This guy really has like 25 to, almost 30 home run potential, but the speed is really what Churio's known for. It has a 70 run grade on the 40 to 80 MLB prospect scale. I really think that this guy can come out and do similar to what Corbin Carroll did last year for the Diamondbacks, for the Brewers. Once again, that's Jackson Chourio. But let's move on to this next guy. And I have Jackson Chourio ranked over Ian Happ. This time of year, Matt and I really aren't giving away our rankings. If you want our rankings, which are, based geared more towards head-to-head categories leagues, that's what Matt and I specialize in. Join us over on Subtext. You get those. You get so much more, very small fee. And this time of year, that fee is going to put you over the edge of your competition. So join Matt and I on the Subtext. The link is in our bio. It's in everywhere, that you would find that. But let's move on to this next outfield. Let's talk about Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler goes over to the Giants, if you haven't heard already. I don't love that for him. Not a great ballpark to hit in. Not that Miami was a great one either, but at least Miami had a decent lineup around Soler. That Giants lineup leaves a lot to be desired, to be honest with you. Let's talk about what Jorge Soler did last year in 137 games, 504 at bats. He had 77 runs, 24 doubles, 36 homers, 75 RBIs, 66 walks, 241 strikeouts. So in those points leagues, Soler is pretty good, and he hit 250. We know what Soler is, huge power guy. He can still hit over 30 home runs for the Giants over there in San Fran. The counting stats, though, I could even see taking a step back. So if you're looking at a guy that's going to be under 70 runs, over 70 RBIs, and hit 250-ish, anywhere between 240 and 250. I'm not loving Soler. I'd rather get my power in other spots where I think I can get more RBIs and more runs. There's still, some names after him that I think can do that for you. But I will say this, if you want somebody that, really does have a high power upside, even in a park, like San Francisco, Jorge Soler does do that. So I wouldn't mind you going out and grabbing him, but he's just not somebody I'm really going out of my way to grab. Let's move on to this next guy here. Let's talk about Masataka Yoshida. So Masataka Yoshida, I'm actually going to go back. I didn't mention this. I do want to mention this for the other players. We talked about Ian Happ first, 34th outfielder, pick 149. Jackson Chourio coming off the board as the 35th outfielder, pick 150. Jorge Soler, 36th outfielder, coming off the board, 153. And then we're going to talk about Masataka Yoshida now, 37th outfielder, pick 154. So all of these guys are actually coming off the board very close. At this point in the draft, you're really going to tailor to what your team needs, though, right? Sometimes it pays off to draft best talent available. That's not something I tend to do often, though. I really want to get somebody I think is going to fit my team construction. And let's talk about a guy like Yoshida, right? Masataka Yoshida last year, 140 games, 537 at bats, 71 runs, 33 doubles, 3 triples, 15 home runs, 72 RBIs, 8 steals, 34 walks, 81 strikeouts, 289 batting average. And that's a great year for somebody coming over, to America, getting used to the game, adjusting to it. Look at somebody like Ha-Seong Kim that took a really big step forward last year, after having, a season under his belt in America. I think we see similar with Yoshida. I think if Yoshida could play a similar amount of games, I think we see maybe around 20 bombs. I think the steals can get up there too, around to 15. The batting average is something that Yoshida does very, very well. So I think we could see that batting average stay pretty legit. Not a target of mine, but not somebody I'm afraid to draft either, because I think he's going to give you very balanced stats. Another guy I kind of want to see where he's projected to hit, because if he's projected to hit, in that top of that Boston lineup, I think even his counting stats could take a step forward. So Yoshida is somebody that I definitely do like for this season. Once again, just kind of wanted to pull up real quick where Roster Resource has him projected to hit. They actually have him projected to hit 5th. I don't love that. So the RBIs might be decent, but the runs might not be great for Yoshida. So we're talking about the RBIs and the batting average being plus, but the home run speed being a little bit mediocre. So that's why I don't love him, but I'm not afraid to, have him on my team either. Probably a guy I want more as a utility though. But before we move on and keep things pushing and, really kind of see what players we can profit off of here when it comes to, your third outfielder slash utility bats. I got those names for you. So you're going to want to stay tuned right through this break. And guys, we're talking about Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. That's why you need to check out the Gametime app. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Using the Gametime app is super rewarding with flash deals and last minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, images and views from the exact seats you'll be sitting in, lowest price guarantee and event cancellation protection, and their all-in-one prices show your total up front so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets and the lowest prices always guaranteed. And guys, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. And guys, the one that's most important to Matt, especially this time of year, it's important to you guys as well. We're once again introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into the offseason with Matt and I as we provide our tiered rankings with over 100 outfielders and starting pitchers. You'll also have exclusive access to our prospect insights, sleepers, breakouts, bust, and personalized draft grades. When you have burning questions, we've got the answers. As the season unfolds, you can rely on us for dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. And all right, guys. We always know that is a lot. But let's just get right back into what we're here for, and let's break down some more of these outfielders for you guys. So we just talked about Masataka Yoshida. We're getting into our next player, who's TJ Friedl, the 38th outfielder off the board at pick 155. TJ Friedel's an interesting one for me. Not somebody, once again, I have my favorites around this time, and once again, you always need to tailor to your team, your league type, whether it's points, head-to-head categories, leagues, roto. There's a different approach for every single league. And, here we try and give you, the best take from every platform. But, once again, Matt and I do specialize in head-to-head categories leagues, so that we kind of spin most of our takes geared towards that way. But TJ Friedl, as a 27-year-old, played 138 games, had 488 at-bats, 73 runs, 22 doubles, 8 triples, 18 homers, 66 RBIs, 27 steals, 47 walks, and 90 strikeouts, which is actually a great strikeout to walk ratio, and he hit 279. So TJ Friedl, not really a high-end prospect, never really showed too much pop in the minors, actually was pretty quick. Another guy that's supposed to hit. Let's check again. Last time I checked, I know it was somewhere near the top of that Cincinnati lineup. And I don't. Once again, not a guy that I'm absolutely in love with, but if you want a guy that is actually projected to hit leadoff on a team that's young, exciting, literally TJ Friedl has Matt McLean, Spencer Steer, um, Jamer Candelario, Ellie De La Cruz, Noelvi Marte, just that young core behind him to drive him in. And I know the speed's legit too, and they'll probably let a guy like, Friedel run a little bit. But if you're looking for a guy that is, gonna give you much more than speed and runs, though, he's somebody that I don't really believe in. The batting average is something that I don't think is sustainable. The underlying stuff doesn't really look good for that. And then also for the power, he doesn't hit the ball very hard, and he doesn't barrel it up, just doesn't do the things that you see from a power hitter. So if you're expecting Friedel, you see the 18 home runs and go, oh, maybe he can go higher. That's not something I'm predicting. If anything, I could see him hitting less home runs, maybe in the 15 range. But if he hits 18 again, you're not going to be surprised because he did it already. He owns that. It's something he's done, so you can't take it away from him. But the 27 steals are legit. So if you're talking about a guy who I'd project a stat line maybe of 90 runs, 15 homers, the RBIs probably in the same range, 65, 30 steals with a 255 batting average. That's what I'm seeing from Friedel. So when he's coming off the board as the 38th outfielder, somebody you're probably taking as an outfielder number 3, not loving it. But if that speed run combo is tailored to your team, I would take that, because those are two things that I think Friedel is going to do very good. So what I'm trying to do is just give you some insight on these players, let you know which ones I like better than others, and then you make the judgment when it comes to draft day of, hey, who's going to fit my team construction the best for my team, my league, and so forth. But let's move on to this next name. Let's talk about Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo is somebody that I really liked coming into last year, and he actually really didn't disappoint. Just a guy that kind of constantly flies under the radar. His whole career, not a superstar, not even an all-star, but just somebody that, especially in those deeper leagues, those 5 outfielder leagues, if you get a guy like Nimmo and have him in your lineup, he's fantastic. Nimmo last year, 152 games, 592 at-bats, 89 runs, 30 doubles, 6 triples, 24 homers, 68 RBIs, 3 steals, 274. And what did Brandon Nimmo hit last year? 274. Just so reliable. A lot of his numbers are pretty much identical from last year. He had 30 doubles last year. He hit 7 triples last year, almost the same. Hit for a little bit more power with the 24 homers this year. So not something I'm really predicting there, but if Nimmo is anywhere between the 16 to 20 homers, the runs are going to be good. He's probably going to hit near the top of that lineup. The RBI is probably in the same range because that was very similar. And then if he's going to hit around 274, that's what you're getting with Nimmo. I do love him as a sneaky guy, but his ADP has moved up this year. 39th outfielder, pick 160, as I said before. Uh, Not loving it there, but if you have to take him as like a utility, your 4th outfielder, I am kind of liking that. If you're reaching at your 3rd outfielder, might not be super profitable there. And when it comes to the points leagues, the plate discipline's actually not bad, so I would move him up a little bit there. With 74 walks to 146 strikeouts last year. It does look like it has taken a step in the wrong direction, though, when you look at 2022 for Nimmo, 71 walks to 116 strikeouts. So let's keep an eye out for that. But Nimmo, somebody that, once again, is just I'm not in love with him, but I don't hate him as well. So, but if you want to hear an opinion on a guy that I absolutely do love, it's Riley Greene. Riley Greene, 40th outfielder off the board, pick 161. I'll say this. I love him. High-end outfielder number 3 for me. Riley Greene, has slowly come along as an MLB player. Highly, highly touted prospect. Riley Greene is on the Detroit Tigers, 6'3", 200 pounds, lefty. And just really loved what I saw from him last year in the 99 games he played before he got hurt. Had 378 at-bats, Riley Greene, 51 runs, 19 doubles, 4 triples, 11 homers, 37 RBI, 7 steals. Not a points leagues guy, so where you probably move Riley Greene down in your points leagues a little bit with 35 walks, 214 strikeouts, but a 288 batting average as a 22-year-old. I think we forget how young Riley Greene is because we've heard his name so much. But somebody I want all the exposure I can. The power might not be great in that park, but if Riley Greene could hit you 20 homers and steal you 25 bases. I think he can hit leadoff for that team. So maybe hopefully like 90 runs, 60 RBIs with a 280 batting average. I think we're going to make profit off Riley Greene with a little bit of upside there for more. Who knows what the sky really is for Riley Greene, but I know that it is really high. But before we move on once again and talk about a couple more names that you guys are going to want to pay attention to, there's some breakout candidates there, there's some bust candidates there. So you guys are going to want to make sure you lock on for the rest of the episode. But I do have one more ad for you guys. And guys, of course, we're talking about FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. But guys, that's basketball. We're a baseball podcast here. I love some of the baseball bets for the season on FanDuel. You can bet on everything for how many homers Aaron Judge is going to hit, who's going to lead the league in steals, and they have great odds on all of that stuff. So once again, make sure you check out FanDuel. FanDuel, they're an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And all right, guys, let's see. I want to try and get through the rest of these names for you. Hopefully, we can do the top 50. Let's see. The next guy, I wish I had some haterade here with me. I don't. Matt is the haterade expert. He didn't lend me any for this episode, unfortunately. But I have a lot. I hate to say a lot of hate, but I got some hate for Tommy Edman coming off the board as the 41st outfielder, pick 169. I was fading Tommy Edman heavy last year, and I'm doing it again this year. He's a good baseball player, but just what are we exactly drafting Tommy Edman for? Is it just the steals? Is that really it? Was it the steals and the runs? I mean, they're okay, but that, St. Louis team is so young. There's so many up and coming players through that team that honestly, I know Tommy Edman does play a lot of positions, so I could see him getting, the playing time through that. But let's read that stat line last year from Tommy Edman. 137 games, 479 at-bats, 69 runs, 25 doubles, 4 triples, 13 homers, 47 RBIs, 27 steals, 35 walks to 84 strikeouts, which actually was pretty cool. But a 248 batting average. Tommy Edman, career 265 guy, not helping you in batting average. The steals 27 last year, but 27 is not even blowing you away anymore. It's not even like 27 is what it was last 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's just not anymore. 27 steals isn't elite. It's a little bit above average at this point. The 47 RBIs is hurting you. The 13 home runs are hurting you. The 69 runs aren't helping you. That's mediocre to me. I know it's only 137 games, so it's an okay number. But none of these numbers are really, elite or really helping you specifically anywhere. They're all just kind of maintaining. If you play in like a straight roto league, I could see you moving Tommy Edman up. But for any other kind of league, he's not really doing it for me. And I don't think we should be targeting him. The next guy up, let's talk about Chas McCormick. Chas McCormick is somebody who's an interesting name, right? I really would love to see more from McCormick, but the draft price isn't really killing me. If you can get McCormick as like a utility or a bench, which is almost where we're looking at McCormick coming off the board as the 42nd outfielder, pick 172. Last year, McCormick was actually, like I said, pretty solid as a 28-year-old for the Astros. 115 games, 403 at-bats, 59 runs, 17 doubles, 2 triples, 22 homers, 70 RBIs, 19 steals, 40 walks, 217 strikeouts. So maybe he's not so much of a points league guy with a 273 batting average. It is tough to buy the age 28 breakout, but some of the underlying stuff does like McCormick. I don't always like to buy into guys like McCormick because they do tend to burn you. There's not like a huge prospect pedigree. And, I don't know of any huge changes that he made. It is a good lineup if you do want some exposure to a good lineup where you're probably going to get decent runs and RBIs and a guy who has shown power and speed. I think that's great, but McCormick's never really been a great batting average guy in the minors. Had a couple of seasons that looked decent, but in more recent years, hasn't really shown too much. So not a guy I'm targeting. If he falls, somebody that I could see myself snagging as maybe a bench player or a second utility, but somebody I'm not in love with. This next guy is kind of an avoid for me. I'm kind of vibing off of what Matt said. So, when it comes to target and avoid, Quan is just somebody that, is not great. 43rd outfielder, pick 179. Somebody that I didn't really predict it, but I could have seen him taking a step forward last year. Really didn't take that step forward last year. Feel like he got exposed a little bit more than the year before. Stephen Kwan last year is a 25-year-old, 158 games, 638 at-bats, 93 runs, 36 doubles, 7 triples, 5 homers, 54 RBIs, 21 steals, 70 walks to 75 strikeouts, and a 268 batting average. Stephen Kwan definitely gets a boost in points leagues. I will say that for sure. You could boost him up a solid amount in points leagues because that plate discipline is actually super elite. And the doubles, I love those doubles. I love the 36 doubles. That kind of shows you how good Stephen Kwan's speed is. If Stephen Kwan would have took a step to be a 30 plus steal guy, with the low home run and RBI total, I would have loved it, right? So if Stephen Kwan would have did like 93 runs with 32 steals and a 280 batting average, I'd be in. And you know what? Maybe there is still a chance that he does it as only being 25 last year, but I'm not really banking on it. And that's why I am kind of fading Stephen Kwan. Somebody that I could buy back in, though. I could see myself buying back in if everything does start to click the way we want it to, but you're never really going to see that power RBI total that you want for Kwan. But we could see the batting average take a step back forward, actually, because the underlying stuff does look pretty good. So Stephen Kwan, maybe not so much of a void as somebody who I'm keeping an eye on. Wyatt Langford is the next outfielder at the 44th outfielder, pick 181. Not somebody that I'm going to deep dive on because I've talked about him a lot. We talked about him a lot on the last episode, so go check that one out. I'm kind of going to run through some of these names really, really quickly and just give you quick thoughts as we wrap this episode up because I don't have a lot of time here. James Outman, young outfielder for the Dodgers, is somebody that I actually like. I like the price on him at 183. I hope he doesn't get platooned. Has power, has speed. It's legit. Could have good runs and RBIs total on that team. Somebody that I do want to throw out as a target is Eloy Jimenez. I feel like we're sleeping on him. I know he's injury prone, but as the 46th outfielder off the board and pick 188, Eloy could be a legit 4-category guy. The power's legit. The batting average skills are legit. The runs and RBIs really is going to depend on this team, so I'm not banking on it. But if Eloy hit 35 home runs this year and hit 285 with 95 RBIs, I would not be shocked. He's still young enough, and I think that type of season's coming. Christopher Morel, we dove into in other position preview episodes. I'm not going to deep dive him on here, but somebody I've been liking a lot, getting him as my utility hitter a lot. Second baseman in deeper leagues or middle infielder in deeper leagues. Pick 199. Love it. Jarren Duran, super, super sleeper. Think he's going to hit leadoff for Boston. Love the upside here. A little tiny bit of power, like 10 plus home run power, speed, 40 plus steal speed. Runs and RBIs could be good. Batting average is definitely something he does good. Lars Nootbaar, 49th outfielder. Love the power speed combo for him in St. Louis. Somebody to keep your eye on. And then Lourdes Gurriel, just a decent player. We kind of know who he is at this point in his career for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But as I'm wrapping this episode up, I kind of want to talk outfielder position strategy. I'm definitely going early on outfield this year, guys. Don't sleep on taking outfielder early. Honestly, 3 of your first 5 or 6 picks should and could be outfielders this year. So make sure you shore it up early, and then you target these some of these sexy names at the ends, like the Riley Greenes and names that we've mentioned here. But guys, that is all for today. So please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. But guys, until next time, see ya.